What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here, hanging out in the Cowboys cave. Hopefully you guys are having a good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're checking out this video. Again, appreciate all the subscribers, all the new ones and the old ones, man. I got to go show love to the OGs who've been here from the very, very beginning. But the channel is growing, and it wouldn't be done without your all support. So definitely appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, and I see the numbers, I know there's a ton of you checking out this video, checking out the channel, and you ain't hit that subscribe. So don't waste no time. Hit that subscribe so you can be part of the family, and definitely join our live shows, be part of the chat. So, hey, before we get rolling, we do have our live schedule release show going to be May 14th. We know who we're playing. We just want to know when. We don't want to know what day. We want to know all that kind of good stuff, and we will be deciding and picking that game for our third annual Cowboys Cave tailgate party, which you guys don't want to miss. It gets bigger and bigger every year, and it's just a place for Cowboy fans to get together, have a great time. So it don't cost you nothing. Just got to be a Cowboys fan for the most part. But anyway, hopefully I'll see you guys there. But just wanted to drop a video. You know, I've talked about it before, and there's a lot of people, you know, post videos about it. And culture is kind of that word that we've been using around the Dallas Cowboys for the past few years, right? Because the few seasons you just have these teams, those 12-5 teams, and then disappointment in the playoffs, and you're always trying to find an answer. And we got the talent, right? The talent's been there. You've had the coaching. You've got a Super Bowl caliber coach, Super Bowl winning coach, and McCarthy that was there. So, you know, where can you point the finger? And culture's it. And that is really, you know, it's an interesting word, and it's interesting to see the dynamics of what culture brings to an organization. A lot of us, myself included, work, you know, at these companies, and the culture the company creates is infectious down to the employees, from the top executives down, you know, in my case, to the warehouse, and how everyone feels about the company, and how everyone feels about the organization, and how everyone feels about the path and the vision forward. It does play a part. It is something that means a lot. It is something that can negatively impact an organization or a company. And when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and the culture that they have, it's not so much a negative culture in my eyes. I call it maybe an elitist culture. You have the owner and you have the general manager, and you don't have a lot of buffers in between. It's a family-run business, family-run organization, which there's a lot of positives to it. I've worked in a family-run organization, and there was a lot of positives to it, but there was some negatives to it. And it's, how do you balance both? So you bring in Schotty, and I'm hearing all this culture with Schotty, and he's changing the culture, and I believe he is to a point, but it's bigger than Schotty. It really has to start at the top. It has to start at the very top, from Jerry Jones on down. And the one thing I'm seeing that gives me some positivity that maybe they're starting to understand it is, you don't really see, this is the first season in the off season, you haven't seen a whole lot of Jerry. You haven't seen a whole lot of Steven, you know, always chirping, always with the one-liners, always putting stuff out there. You're not seeing it as much, and you're seeing more Schotty. Schotty's delivering the message. Schotty's talking about accountability, discipline, expectation, what type of player he wants on this football team, the type of players they drafted, all leaders, all captains, a lot of them captains of the team, big universities, a lot of them from championship organizations. So you see what they're doing, and I like it. I've said you've got to, if you want to build a culture, it's got to start at the top, but it's got to be ingrained into the players, into the workers, from the entry level or your rookies up until the executive management, which is your captains of your team, the leaders of your team. You're seeing it with Parsons. You obviously see it with Dak. You've seen it with CD and some of the things that he's done and said in the offseason. You talk about someone that's invested a lot of money and a lot of passion and making sure he's in the best condition, and his focus is on winning and on getting this team to that next level. So you're seeing a lot of that going on. But again, it's got to be bigger than the coaches. It's got to be bigger than the players. It's got to be something that they maintain, that consistency, and that's at the organization at the top. Jerry needs to not get sucked in to loving to hear himself talk, love to hear the sound bites, the clickbaits, and all the other things that go to it. And it's what I said is the organization almost needs to create an us against them mentality. One for all for one, because you have all the outside noise, right? You guys tell me if I'm getting crazy on you, but you got the all that outside noise between ESPN, NFL Network. They put anything in to get a reaction. I saw something so stupid that they had the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL, and they didn't have Dak Prescott in the top 15. And if they don't want to put Dak Prescott in the top 15, fine. But the names they had in the top 15, it's like, give me a break. I mean, I know what you're doing, and we all get sucked into it because then it gets tweeted out, it gets retweeted. So I would say the fan base has some responsibility in not getting sucked into this and destroying this culture and create that us against them mentality. Then I see the draft. And everyone that you've talked to, any expert, hater, whatever you want, has said the Dallas Cowboys draft on paper, because it's on paper. You don't know what's going to happen and how these guys play out for a couple years. But on paper, we'd all agree Cowboys had a pretty solid draft. I mean, from top to bottom, they mixed in a couple playmakers. They got in, obviously, Booker. They got in, I call him Easy-E. The great pass rusher for Boston College. They get Ravel. All these, their first 3 picks are top 50 ranked in a lot of mock drafts and a lot of experts. And then they come out with the least athletic draft class. And the Dallas Cowboys, they had ranked 32nd in the league. Now, mind you, we also drafted a running back with sub 4.3 speed. So I don't know about athleticism. We got a linebacker that has a lot of athleticism. We got a defensive end that has a ton of athleticism. You obviously got the cornerback. You've got a mauler at offensive guard. Don't tell me that they're the worst, a 32nd in athleticism. I mean, you're just asking again for the clickbait. So I think that's the biggest challenge with the Cowboys in the culture is the outside noise, because as fans, you get sucked into it and then you start believing everything that you're seeing. It's just like I say with politics. If you turn on one of those news channels, the political news channels, if you listen to it for about 4 hours, you're going to believe whatever they're telling you. And that's what they do. They beat it down, and it's the same show, the same recycled thing over and over. Every half hour, every hour, it's the same show. And it's like I said, if you're on this side and you listen to the other side channel, you start like, man, those guys are making some sense. If you listen to the one side and you're like, hey, wait a minute, these guys are making some sense. And it's the same thing with the Cowboys. If you listen to ESPN constantly over and over, they repeat these shows and it's the same different show with the same topics. You get to a point, you're like, yeah, this Cowboys team, they're terrible. This quarterback, he's not any good. This organization's not any good. The coaches, he's gonna fail. And is he unproven? Sure. But how many unproven coaches are out there now? And you don't hear them talking about any of those other ones. And I would say Schotty has more experience than a lot of these first-time head coaches that are out there. Ben Johnson is looked to as his guru. I mean, what's he accomplished in the grand scheme of things? I'll wait to hear. He may be a great head coach with Chicago. He may end up sucking. I have no clue. You just don't know. But, I know I got off a little bit because we're talking about culture, but it's the bigger picture of everything. And I think the Cowboys have an opportunity to create that us against them, but really more importantly, make it about business. You know, I know marketing is the biggest thing for the Cowboys, and Jerry loves the marketing side, and they love being in the headlines, and any publicity, whether it be good or bad, is good publicity. That's always been his mindset. But I don't agree with that. You know, I love that workers mentality, that blue collar mentality. You see it with these well-run organizations year in and year out. They're competitive and they're fighting for championships every year. The Cowboys seem to always be in the mix, but it's never enough. It's always something missing, or it's always some distraction. It's always something that kind of slows them down. So that's what I want to see from this team this year. And what I've seen early with Schotty, like I said, I like it. But I got to see more from the organization at the top to stay consistent in the messaging and stay consistent in what they're doing. And hopefully that'll work out, man, because I want a positive year. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like losing. And the Cowboys have done too much losing last year. And in the last 3 years, did a little too much losing in the playoffs. And it's about time for us to spit it back in some people's faces. They're under the radar, you know, by Vegas standards. Vegas doesn't believe in them. And that's kind of the way I like it. I'd rather be under the radar. I'd like people to say, well, I don't know, man, the Cowboys. I did a show last week, and there's people that actually think that the Giants are going to be better than Dallas. Dallas is going to be in last place. And I'm like, good, man, just keep saying it. Keep believing it. You know, it's going to get proven out on the football field. This is a talented football team, and I think the mental toughness of this team is the only thing that has held them back. And maybe Schotty is going to make that difference. But like I said, it's more than him. It's going to start at the top, but it's got to trickle down to every level of the organization, from the stars, the superstars, the role players, the practice squad. It's got to be a mentality. You've got to have that mentality and that culture that you drive every day when you come to work. And like I said, I've seen it early, but we'll see what happens. But let me know your guys' thoughts, man. Is culture overrated, or is it a culture problem in Dallas? Leave a comment. I'm going to be traveling up to enemy territory. I'm going to be in enemy territory this week over in Washington, D.C. Hopefully I don't see any Commanders fans around, because I talked a lot of noise about them, and maybe they're going to be looking for your boy Mike Tag to kind of let me know and remind me what happened when I told them to pump the brakes on the playoffs and pump the brakes on having a positive season. They did well. I give them their kudos. I give them their love. But this is a new season. I don't know if they're made for prime time yet, but we're going to see what happens. But I'm looking forward to getting to DC. So until then, I'll be out of the cave. But I'll be coming back on Thursday night. We'll be live with Kelly K9 and some other guests. We're going to have a good time. We're going to get you guys ready and for that schedule release next week. So appreciate the love. Hit that subscribe. Hit that like. Hit the share on your way out. I'll be seeing you. Peace.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.